It's been a really meandering one. I certainly wasn't someone who thought they knew what they wanted to do when they grew up. I dropped out of college. I worked in hospitality. I moved across the country. I worked in finance for a bit and then into marketing. And what I started to notice was that I was really following my nose on all of these sort of hop, skips, and jumps around jobs. I always followed the bit of the job that I liked most, and that would lead me into the next one. So with finance, I liked the kind of the problem solving side of it. So that got me into kind of project management in marketing, and then I realized I really liked the client side of that, and so I followed that, and often the following that I was doing was getting closer and closer to people
Mm.
and increasing the proximity in my role to people in all sorts of ways. And I moved into an agency in Bath. I mean, I live in Bath in the UK, and I moved into a fantastic agency called The House, a brand agency. And they really blended supporting organizations with their external brand with, and what does that mean for you internally?
Mm.
And that got me kind of hooked on this idea of culture. And from there, I kind of deepened that. I went in-house into a global manufacturer for a while, to sort of see what I understood, test what I thought I knew, and really stretch there. And then I came back out into consultancy. I missed the variety of people and organizations. And over the last sort of 4 or 5 years, I've really deepened my understanding of people and organizational psychology, and what it all feels like and means, I guess. Um, but yeah, followed my nose, I think, is the shorter answer. I think I admire both, and I'm not just trying to just sit on the fence on this one. I think my colleague Juliet is a great example of that first person that you described. She went to university and studied organizational psychology, and she came out of university. She will describe coming out of university with like arms full of books and understanding about the world and a real excitement to go and help people have happier working lives through this work of HR or whatever the lens of that was. And I think the system is self-perpetuating. She went
Mm.
into a system and suddenly, that everything she'd learned was kind of disregarded, or it wasn't given the space that it deserved. And she went
Mm.
into a system run by systems and process, as HR was traditionally. Um, and um, and she will often describe, how hard that was to come in with all this excitement that you've just described and all of that knowledge, and then
Mm.
have someone say, "Oh, well, that's all well and good, but actually we've got a process for that."
Mm.
And so I have a lot of empathy, I think, with those excitable graduates who perhaps then enter more personnel style departments, and don't get as close to the people as they thought they were going to be. But I think that's shifting. I think the first one is that most people wouldn't talk about joy in the workplace. Um, I think we might talk about happiness or satisfaction. Joy feels a little too personal, perhaps.
Mm.
So I think that you probably wouldn't get that many people using that word to describe what they're trying to achieve. And that in itself then gets them out of thinking about it more deeply. So
Mm.
if I think that my people need to be happy, then I might solve that with Pizza Friday, or a new communication system where we can all upvote each other. And I think and I'm not disregarding some of those tactics, but that's what they are. They are tactics that need to be present within a myriad of different approaches to how we help people be happier in the workplace. And unfortunately, sometimes, as we see in marketing, sometimes people go just into the tactics and they do a few things,
Mm.
and then they wonder why that hasn't solved the problems or shifted the culture or whatever it might be.
Mm.
So I think often the first misconception is that short-term happiness is enough.
Mm.
And then really when we talk about joy, which the reason I love the word joy is it's a short word. Like it's not complicated, it's not difficult to spell, and yet it has quite a deep and heavy, in a positive way, meaning. It's a profound sense of happiness.
Mm.
It's an enduring sense of happiness. It lasts longer. You can still be full of joy in very challenging times because it's much deeper. It's in you, and it can be triggered in different ways. So I could be happy after I've eaten a jacket potato and tuna right at lunch, and I would be probably. I like quite like that. But would I be full of joy? Would I be joyful? Would I find that environment joyous? Um, well, joy is triggered by love, by relationship, whether that's with myself or with you, by personal achievement. It can be triggered by nature. Just having you talked a moment ago about living in this small town and being surrounded by nature. And that in itself can just create a deeper, more intense level of joy. And so I think if a workplace, if an organization were looking to be more joyous, and they need to go beyond happy, and they need to go beyond satisfied, and they need to go beyond engaged, and they need to think about their organization not as a thing in itself, but as a group of people organizing. And those are people and they are human and they have real feelings and real emotions and and we bruise and we smile and we're real. Um, Sorry, I probably answered two questions there, Ivan, but I get excited about joy because I get excited about the possibilities of it.